Trump told his then chief of staff, retired four-star General John Kelly, quote, "Well, Hitler did a lot of good things."
Is former President Donald Trump America's Hitler? That's what his current vice presidential running mate questioned in 2016. I go back and forth between thinking Trump is a cynical expletive like Nixon or that he's America's Hitler.
Trump's former wife, the late Ivana Trump, had told her lawyer that Donald Trump occasionally read from a book of Hitler's collected speeches.
And you can go for nationalism, you can go for anger.
Trump is Adolf Hitler?
If you look at what's happening with Donald Trump and his playing to the lowest common denominator and to the anger in us, Adolf Hitler, we all look at Adolf Hitler in 1940. We should look at Adolf Hitler in 1929. Donald Trump is a dangerous man with the things that he has been saying.
Trump had Nick Fuentes and Kanye West as dinner guests just last year at Mar-a-Lago. Fuentes, well known as a white nationalist and a Holocaust denier. Kanye West, just the month before, threatened to go, quote, DEFCON 3 on, all caps, Jewish people. West had, according to one of his former business executives, praised Hitler and what the Nazi Party achieved for the German people.
Former President Donald Trump posting a video to his social media site Truth Social, referring to the creation of a unified Reich if he wins a second term. The 30-second video shared Monday featured hypothetical headlines styled as World War I era newspaper clippings.
Robinson is currently Donald Trump's choice, his only choice. Sources telling NBC News the disgraced ex-president has no plans to pull his endorsement, which has been enthusiastic, for Robinson.
A detailed investigation shows comments made by Mark Robinson on a porn website. Robinson was found making numerous graphic and inappropriate comments. One included, quote, "I'm a black Nazi," end quote. In another comment, Robinson allegedly said, quote, "Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few."
I told that to Mark. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times 2.
Today, Donald Trump is standing by this tweet, the imagery evoking anti-Semitic stereotypes, and it appeared 10 days earlier on a white supremacist message board.
Hitler's Nazi Party came to power partly by pounding the idea that the German government was being overrun by Marxists.
We will root out the radical left thugs that live like vermin.
When he wrote about rooting out Marxists and Jews, Hitler wrote, quote, "There was time enough at home at least to exterminate this vermin."
Any Jewish people that vote for a Democrat, I think it shows either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty.
Donald Trump has taken the extraordinary step of calling for CBS's broadcast license to be revoked.
Network news has become so partisan, distorted, and fake that licenses must be challenged and, if appropriate, revoked.
Wir aber hatten, und das war in weiser Voraussicht geschehen, den deutschen Journalismus so diszipliniert, dass wir in den entscheidenden Augenblicken nicht mehr zu befehlen brauchen.
I'm going to open up our libel laws so we can sue the media.
Ein leiser Wind genügt, der Presse klarzumachen. Jetzt gibt's keine Diskussionen.
You are the enemy of the people.
Hitler made no secret of the fact that a vote for the Nazis was a vote for dictatorship.
A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of the Constitution.
Then I have an Article 2 where I have the right to do whatever I want. The U.S. Marshals killed him. That's the way it has to be. There has to be retribution when you have crime like this.
What specifically was he suggesting that the U.S. military should do to these protesters?
He says, can't you just shoot them?
Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
It is a plan to radically change the form of governance that we have in the United States.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one.
So as to concentrate all the power of the government in the hands of a single leader.
We have to talk to them, maybe in certain areas, closing that internet up in some way. Somebody, if I happen to be president and I see somebody who's doing well and beating me very badly, I say, go down and indict them. To be honest with you, you have to get rid of judges. You catch somebody and they bring them to a court.
The former president's allies are developing a plan that would immediately deploy the military to the streets against potential demonstrators.
You have to take out their families. You have to take out their families.
Die Vernichtung der jüdischen Rasse in Europa.
Should we do the pledge? I swear I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
diesen heiligen Eid. Diesen heiligen Eid.
I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
Hitler put that phrase in Mein Kampf, quote, "Great civilizations died out as a result of contamination of the blood, poisoned the national bloodstream and infecting public life."
Volk und Erde, das sind die drei Wurzeln, aus denen wir unsere Kraft ziehen wollen.
Not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. But you also had people that were very fine people, and the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us!
The Reich citizenship law stripped Jews and many other racial minorities of their German citizenship.
Some legal scholars believe you can get rid of birthright citizenship without changing the Constitution.
With an executive order.
Exactly.
Trump is taking things even further, reportedly planning to round up undocumented immigrants in the U.S. and build detention camps if he's elected to a second term.
The concentration camps were a tool of oppression, not yet of systematic murder.
His inner circle plans to purge anyone viewed as hostile to the hard-edge authoritarian-sounding plans he calls Agenda 47.
Hitler stood on the stage of the Bürgerbräukeller on November the 8th. He called for a national revolution to start in Bavaria and overthrow the left-wing government in Berlin.
Thousands storming the Capitol after a rally with President Trump, during which he urged them to march on the Capitol, where a joint session of Congress was debating and working to certify the election as our democracy dictates. Instead, they were halted by protesters who smashed through the doors, broke their way into the Capitol.
We know that within 15 minutes of returning to the Oval Office on the morning of the 6th, after his famous speech to his supporters, he was informed that his supporters were now breaching the Capitol building. It was at that point that he retreated to the presidential private dining room off the Oval Office and sat for the next 3 hours watching coverage of the attack unfold on Fox News. We know that his closest advisors and his family members all implored him to send out a tweet or speak to the nation or do something to call off the mob. Instead, he sent out a tweet attacking his own vice president, who at that point was fleeing from the mob.
Exclusive recordings that reveal a chaotic last-ditch effort by former President Trump's campaign to get fake elector ballots to D.C. They were trying to get the fake ballots to former Vice President Mike Pence in a final push to overturn the 2020 election.
Hitler had attempted revolution, incited murder, and his followers had robbed a bank. He served 9 months in Landsberg prison.